Hey, everybody, what is up? Sean Hatzel here, 46-year-old stubborn fat expert. If you're scrolling through your feed and you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and your goal is to quickly lose stubborn fat or tone up a trouble spot for the new year, stop by, pay close attention, drop a comment below, let us know where you are from, say hello, because inside this video, I'm going to share how people over 35 years old can quickly reactivate declining hormones using a 12-minute metabolic protocol just 5 times a week, so just 60 minutes a week. Now, I also want to share inside this video the myth about carbohydrates. I want to talk about how it's possible to eat lots of carbs and never store them as belly fat, and actually how it can be beneficial on the metabolism. So, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, pay close attention. And then I'm also going to introduce you to a system I've created. It's called the Over 40 Absolution. And inside this system, you'll learn about these specific 12-minute metabolic protocols that use movement patterns, rest periods, and intensity levels that are specifically designed to release 2 powerful fat-burning hormones, adrenaline and growth hormone. And when you perform this 12-minute metabolic protocol, you can increase growth hormone 400 to 700%. Now, this is critical because after age 35, growth hormone levels inside the body plummet dramatically. This is a condition known as somatopause. So by engaging in my 12-minute metabolic protocols, you can reactivate this declining growth hormone up to 400 to 700%. And I'll put references below substantiating any claims like this that I make in this video, because it's also shown to increase metabolic rate for up to 48 hours. And it also uses these specific movement patterns, rest periods, and intensity levels that are designed to release adrenaline, which is another powerful hormone. And this adrenaline converts into other hormones that are responsible for releasing triacylglycerol from your fat cells into the bloodstream, where they can be burned off so you can shrink a stubborn fat cell. In other words, AKA lose more stubborn fat. So somewhere around this video, you're going to see a link to click or tap. It's going to introduce you to the Over 40 Absolution. It's also going to introduce you to 4 studies showing that long duration cardio can wreak havoc on the metabolism and why you should use these 12-minute metabolic protocols instead. But before you click that link, let's talk about a few different ways to eat lots of carbs and never store them as fat on the body, and why the myth that carbs are responsible for obesity and most of today's daily diseases is a lie. It's simply a lie, and I have proof of that. Number one, there's several tribes. The Tarahumara Indians are one of them. They thrived on 70% or more carbohydrates. Obesity rates and disease have been non-existent for hundreds of years with this tribe. The second example is the Japanese. If you look at the Japanese, their staples are white rice and other high-carb foods. They consume a diet that's 50 to 65% carbs. They have for over 100 years, yet they have obesity rates and disease rates that are lower than the majority of the rest of the world. Now, I'll drive this point home with one last example that's very powerful. Because obviously, if you're going to binge or gorge on sugary carbohydrates or processed food, it's going to make you store more belly fat. It's going to wreak havoc on metabolism. It could lead to diseases, yes, but it's not carbs themselves from nature, or even like white rice, which is pure glucose. If you're an intense exerciser, it can be one of the best fuels that you can eat. You just need to understand how to combine it with the right foods and how to time it the right way. So this last example will drive this point home with potatoes. Chris Voigt was the head of the Washington State Potato Commission, and when the government decided to remove potatoes because they're supposedly unhealthy from the children's school feeding program, he decided to protest. So he ate nothing but 20 potatoes a day for 60 days in a row. Now, obviously, he was cooking them in a healthy way. He wasn't deep frying them in French fries and loaded baked potatoes every day. And I would never advocate anybody doing an all-potato diet, but his results were remarkable. When he was done, I have his results right here. I did a printout of it. We'll put an image. We can put an image below too to show you. But his starting weight was 197. His ending weight was 176. So he lost 21 pounds. His starting glucose was 104. His ending glucose was 94. His starting cholesterol was 214. His ending cholesterol was 147. His starting triglycerides were 135, and his ending triglycerides were 75. And his ending blood pressure was an outstanding 112/70. So this goes to prove once and for all that despite all the bad press, high carb foods like potatoes do not make you fat. You just need to understand how to time them, how to combine them the right way. So the first thing to understand is that you want to always combine your high carb food with a protein source and a veggie whenever possible. When you do this, This will help prevent an insulin spike from the carbohydrates. It'll help stabilize blood sugar levels, and that's what will keep the body in a fat-burning environment. When you eat high-carb foods, even if they're healthy foods from nature, like potatoes or carrots or parsnips or any root vegetables, sweet potatoes, if you eat them all by themselves, you're more likely to spike insulin a lot higher and faster, and that takes the body out of a fat loss environment. See, when insulin's elevated, it's a storage hormone, so it makes it nearly impossible for the body to access fat as a fuel source. So combine your favorite high-carb food with a lean, healthy protein source and a fibrous veggie. That is tip number one. Number two is time it the right way, and particularly after a workout. So after our 12-minute metabolic protocols, you've released all these hormones. Your muscle's like a sponge that's been wrung dry from these rest periods, these intensity levels, these movement patterns, and it's very hypersensitive and wants to reabsorb carbohydrates into muscle tissue and liver tissue. So by consuming carbs about 45 to 90 minutes after our 12-minute metabolic protocols, you replenish glycogen levels in your muscle and liver, and none of those carbs will spill over and be stored as fat. Now, if you're still paranoid about eating carbohydrates, let me drive this point home even further, because there's no doubt that low-carb diets work, ketogenic diets work, but being in ketosis long-term is not realistic for the average person. I mean, the second that you eat too much protein, the second that you drink too much wine, alcohol, or beer, the second that you decide that you want to have a carbohydrate, you're out of ketosis, and it can take you over a week to get back into ketosis. So it's just not realistic long-term. Same thing with the paleo diet. Very effective, but for some reason they demonize potatoes. A caveman could have easily dug up a tuber like a potato. So this goes to drive home the point that carbs don't necessarily make you fat. Now, one last thing about this that's very important. If you decide to go low carb, you're going to quickly lose weight. But for every gram of carbohydrate that you've consumed before you started your low carb diet, your body's holding almost 3 grams of water. So the majority of the weight that you'll lose in that first week going low carb is water weight. On top of that, research shows that it only takes about 6 to 7 days of extreme low carb dieting before leptin levels suppress dramatically. Leptin is the hormone responsible. It tells the body whether it should burn fat or whether it should store fat. So by strategically eating carbs and combining them the right way and timing them the right way that I just taught you, and giving yourself a reward once a week and having a cheat day, you can optimize your thyroid, you can increase your metabolic rate, you can do all these, you make sure that you optimize leptin sensitivity. So there's many benefits to eating carbs strategically the right way. Now this information in detailed food combinations, timing, a meal plan to follow, it's all inside my hormone optimization diet manual. And that's found inside the Over 40 Absolution system that you can find when you click the link around this video. So we're over 8 minutes in. I know I've kind of given you a drink of water with a fire hose here. So it's a lot of information. Hopefully you learned something and you got some benefit out of this. If you did, do me a favor, share it and like it. And then also do me a favor and tag a friend that you know can benefit from it, that may be in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and struggling to quickly lose stubborn fat. And the last thing I want to tell you, before you click the link and go check out my system, is that last year we raised over $60,000 for our charitable partnership with Living Water International to help install clean, fresh water wells and water projects across the globe in Nicaragua, Honduras, and Zimbabwe. Now, so everybody who clicks the link around this video, takes action, and grabs a copy, not only do you have a 90-day money-back guarantee, if you don't get amazing results, we'll give you all your money back, no questions asked. You're also going to help us give clean, living water to a needy child for almost 90 days. So, again, we're over 9 minutes in now, so if you're still watching, I love you because it's so hard to keep people's attention. I know you're being bombarded with all kinds of stuff right now because it's the New Year's. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to check this out. Keep going strong.